and also again can flip the screen. And yeah, this was what I mentioned with the backlight button. If you push it, the whole display goes black. But if you put pause and then you would save battery energy or battery life on the system. And also another thing that I wanted to mention is that if you would play the ATARI LYNX Model 1 and you push the pause button and do some other stuff, the ATARI LYNX Model 1 had a battery save option, or better let's say a battery runtime save option, because after 4 minutes when you paused the game or didn't pushed any button, after 4 minutes the system shuts down. And since the games don't really have a save option, yeah, you would have to start the game all over again. And there are just a couple of games which block this option on the system. And on the ATARI LYNX Model 2 there wasn't this battery save option. So in the end, this is one reason, I guess, why they built this backlight button, because when you pause the game it would pause forever, or at least until the batteries run out. Okay, another thing that I wanted to mention was that the redesigned, or better let's say the Model 2 ATARI LYNX was, or better let's say, had a retail price of $99 when it was released back in 1991. Okay, before we come to the games, I just wanted to finish the sad story about the ATARI LYNX. Why a sad story? Because actually the game, or better let's say the handheld system, was a failure. It wasn't a flop, but it was a failure. It didn't sell that good in the United States. It sold a little bit better in Europe, or actually in the United Kingdom, but yeah. And there are also a lot of reasons why the system failed. And yeah, let's start with the first one. Compared to the Nintendo Game Boy, which was released 1 or 2 months before the ATARI LYNX, yeah, you would have to admit that the ATARI LYNX was far more advanced than the Nintendo Game Boy, and Atari actually thought that the ATARI LYNX would smash the Nintendo Game Boy because of the color LCD screen. It can show 16 different colors at the same time on the screen. Out of 4069 colors, it is backlit, and it also had the hardware scrolling. The Nintendo Game Boy, on the other hand, was not backlight, didn't have backlight, and only had 4 different gray shades. But in the end, the ATARI LYNX was sold for $180. Nintendo Game Boy, $90. The Nintendo Game Boy is almost half the size as the ATARI LYNX, so this was more portable than the ATARI LYNX. The battery runtime with 6 AA batteries, 4 to 5 hours, 4 AA batteries, 8 to 9 hours. High third-party support, almost no third-party support, bad marketing, good marketing, weak advertising, I would actually say high advertising. And yeah, after that, in 1991, they released the ATARI LYNX Model 2. The price was dropped to $99. And Sega released in 1991 the Sega Game Gear. Sega Game Gear had also a color LCD screen and also had backlight, but actually the ATARI LYNX was also more advanced technically than the Sega Game Gear, and also the screen was better than the Game Gear. But again, better third-party support, better marketing and also better advertising. The better runtime on both systems is almost exactly because they increased the battery runtime on the Model 2, as I already mentioned, to 5 to 6 hours. Also, the Sega Game Gear didn't have more battery runtime, at least in my opinion. And yeah, $99, but only for the system. When it first was released, the Sega Game Gear costs around $150 if I'm correct. But in the end, yeah, the Sega Game Gear, you can say, smashed the ATARI LYNX Model 2. So yeah, this was that. And in the early 90s, around 92, 93, you could actually say that Atari dropped the Lynx because they were focusing more on the next console, the Atari Jaguar. And also in the beginning, at Christmas 1989, Atari made their first mistake, you could say, because I don't know what actually was the problem, if they had problem with shipping or production, because at Christmas 1989 stores had only limited quantities of the ATARI LYNX Model 1, and they could not produce enough systems for Christmas. So I guess this was also another reason why Nintendo sold so good compared to the ATARI LYNX. But yeah, in the end, the ATARI LYNX was only produced until 1996, where they stopped producing the system. And yeah, about the games, only about 100 games were ever released for the system. You can also find some prototypes and demos for the system. I have one, Alien vs Predator, and I'm also gonna show this one in my video. And yeah, there are also some homebrews available for the system. Now, if you are interested in buying an ATARI LYNX, it is actually very hard to say how much you have to pay for a system. The prices varied very much, and yeah, it also comes down to condition, if it comes with box, manuals, with games, how much games, which games, and yeah, but if you're interested, you would actually have to pay more for the Model 1 because it is a little bit more rare than the Model 2, and I guess for a Model 1 loose in good condition you would have to pay about $50 to $60 and up. But yeah, like I said, it's hard to say how much you have to pay for an ATARI LYNX if you want to have one. But enough with the talking, I'm gonna show now some of the games, and I start with Blue Lightning. And Blue Lightning was one of the launch titles for the ATARI LYNX, and you could actually say that this game is a tech demo because it shows the hardware scrolling in action. It's a shoot 'em up, and yes, it reminds a lot of Sega's Afterburner, and it also plays the same. You shoot at everything that moves with your cannon or guiding missiles. You can do barrel rolls to avoid enemy missiles. You can also activate the Afterburner if you need some more speed, and yeah, it looks pretty good, and it's a very good game for the ATARI LYNX, especially if you like shooters like Afterburner. The next one is Ryga, and Ryga is a very good arcade conversion, and you will notice later on in this video that a lot of the games that were released for the Atari Lynx were actually arcade conversions. And yeah, Ryga is a platformer where you run around fighting all kinds of monsters like some sort of zombies, rhinos or minotaurs with a shield that is attached to a long chain. And yeah, throughout the game you collect points and get better weapons. The graphics look decent, the sound is also decent, but the game is actually a lot of fun. And Ryga was also released for the NES, but the NES version was completely different and it was a lot harder, the game. So if you like platformers, then I guess you can't go wrong with Ryga on the Atari Lynx. The next game is Qwix, and Qwix is another arcade conversion, and you can play this game with 1 or 2 players. And yeah, this game is hard to describe what you have to do in this game, so I'm actually gonna read the manual to explain how this game works. The objective of Qwix is to score as many points as possible by boxing in the Qwix, the spinning helix. As you complete boxes, they are filled with colorful detailed patterns with a different pattern for each level. Complete a level by boxing in a percentage of the play area equal or greater than a threshold percentage given for each level. Draw as many boxes as you want while you fill forward the threshold amount of the play area. But don't run into an adversary or trap yourself. So I hope now you know what you have to do in this game. Like I said, it's for me a little bit hard to explain the game. It is fun to play, but it is very hard, I have to say, so yeah, it's not bad.